So let us discuss 19th May 2015 newspaper. The first thing article is related to euthanasia, or in general parlance which is called as mercy killing. This issue is coming to forefront because of the death of Miss Aruna Shanbag, fighting in a persistent vegetative state for the past 42 years. Miss Aruna got brutally raped by a ward boy way back in 1973, and since then she was in a persistent vegetative state where she cannot feel any sense except the sense of pain and sense of hunger. Other than this, she does not have any other senses. Now in this case, the mercy killing, the petition for euthanasia went to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court of India has provided a legal recourse for the persons with a persistent vegetative state. So, that is what is called as passive euthanasia. Euthanasia can be broadly divided into passive and active. So, in the passive euthanasia, the medical team do not do anything active intervention towards killing a particular person or toward ending the life of a particular individual. Here, an active medications to sustain the life will be withdrawn, and she will be taken to the death slowly. So it means the concept of the rights of the patients was revisited because of the Aruna's issue. Now, here we shall not confuse the right to death with right to unnatural death. The Supreme Court's passive euthanasia, it shall not be confused with a person's right to having an unnatural death. So the Supreme Court made very clear on that front. Now the question of euthanasia, it flows from the Article 21 of the Constitution, where it was very much clarified that the right to life includes the right to live with dignity. It means that remaining in a persistent vegetative state, depending on a life support systems, etc., cannot be concluded as a life with dignity. Now, in this case, I will conduct a separate session in clear about euthanasia, types of euthanasia, arguments for and against euthanasia by this Sunday. Next article is related to Prime Minister Modi's visit to South Korea. Now, in this visit, there are three important decisions. The South Korea is trying to invest $10 billion in the development of infrastructure, railways, etc. in the country. And next is, the two countries agreed to upgrade their comprehensive economic partnership to special strategic partnership. Now, what the special strategic partnership is, there is no clarity yet, and once it comes true, then I'll discuss about that. And the third thing is, the South Korea will ensure that India will be a member of 4 multilateral export control regimes. What are these 4 multilateral export control regimes are? One is Wassenaar arrangement, which is related to the dual-use goods, or export controls related to the dual-use goods and conventional arms. Dual-use goods, it means which can be used for military purpose and civilian purpose. Next is NSG, the Nuclear Suppliers Group, and next is Australia Group, which is related to chemical and biological weapons, and missile technology control regime. These 4 export control regimes, probably India's entry will be supported by South Korea. And finally, formalization of consultation between national security councils of the two nations. So these are the things which are being discussed about. The Modi said his policy is upgraded from look east to act east policy. Under this act east policy, the bottlenecks which are involved in promoting the various developmental investments will be done away with them, and speedy disposal of the permissions can be improved. It means that the governance structure will be made more and more favorable to the entry of the foreign investments into the country. So this has been described as Act East policy. And next is under trials issue in the country. So it is observed that 2/3 of the people who are who are existing in the jails as of now today. They are the people under trials who are not yet convicted yet. So why these many people are lying in the jails? So what it was observed is these people who are charged with various criminalities, they are lying in the jails due to poverty, and next is lack of legal education in the country. So in this context, a poverty cannot be a cause for an individual to curtail or to lose his freedoms. Now in this context, most of these people, or most of the cases in which these under trials are involved, they are compoundable cases. What is meant by compounding offense? Understand, many of the offenses largely affect the victim and do not cause any considerable harm to the society. So an offense, it is causing an harm only to the victim, not to the society. In these circumstances, the victim can come to a compromise with the offender. There is no need to waste court's time in conducting a trial. This process of reaching a compromise, it is called as compounding. So compounding, for simple layman understanding, remember it as a compromise or out of court settlement that can be reached between a offender and the victim. So most of the cases are compoundable, but however, these people are failing to use that. The major reason is because of lack of legal education. In this case, an under trial review committee has to be constituted in every district, where the district judge, district magistrate, and superintendent of the police will be the members. And most of the districts, they are not constituted. And also to improve the situation, the 436A of Criminal Procedure Code was introduced in 2005. What this states is this. Under this, an under trial prisoner shall be released on own personal bond if he has undergone a sentence for at least half of the period of the total or maximum punishment that can be given to him for the offense he has conducted. For example, for offense he has conducted, if the maximum period is 7 years, and if he is in the jail for more than 3.5 years, on a self-declared personal bond, this individual can be released of the court. But however, the conclusion is this. The final solution for this problem, it lies in speedy trial, but not just merely in the early release of the prisoners. So, the improving the disposal of the cases is the best way forward. And the discussion can be taken forward with the Daksh Foundation report. Already we have discussed about the Daksh Foundation report previously. Now again let's recollect that. What it said is, there are large differences exist among the various high courts in India on the data standards and data management, and there is no uniformity with regard to this data. And most of the cases in the high courts, they are stuck at the admission stage. The persistent delay in the disposability of the cases is leading to the failure of criminal justice system in the country. So in this context, what this article talks about is the non-availability of data is hampering the systemic and meaningful analysis of judicial delay. And second, now there is an important issue which was highlighted by this analysis. Admission to something called disposable ratio, or disposable cases. How many cases are disposed per day? How many new cases are admitted? The report says it is around 1:15. It means for every one case disposed, 50 new cases are admitted into the judiciary. If at the existing pace, if the cases are disposed, So the further accumulation of the cases is going to increase, and pending of the cases is going to further increase in the judiciary. So it's going to compound the existing problems. So it suggests that if we can bring in some classification of the existing cases into certain groups, then we can provide for a predictability to the petitioner that this is what is the average time required for the disposal of this particular case. But however, the cases, almost 2,500 plus varieties exist, how different people file the cases in the high courts. So they, according to this report, they can be brought into just 300 categories. If they are standardized, then automatically the tracking of the cases and maintenance of the data becomes simplified. So in this context, if you observe, the writ petition, filing of the writ petition is reported in 120 different ways as of now existing data registration process. In this context, all the existing ways of registering a cases have to be standardized into 300 different categories, and then these cases have to be followed up. That is what is the thing we need to do. So that is what is being suggested as a solution. Next, with regard to the growing divisive politics in India, again, it brings in the religious freedoms, the issues of right-wing politics in India. Now, if you see, the mainstream secular politics are secular parties, they are seeing a decline recently. Now, in this context, the right-wing politics also have taken up the route of soft Hindutva. So why this soft Hindutva? The hardliners, why they are being sidelined? The major reason is this. The hardliners or hardliner stand is leading to elimination of the few castes among the Hindus from the right-wing politics. And also the modern and moderate factions of these Hindu groups are also getting separated from them. In this context, to gain the electoral victory, soft Hindutva became their stand. Now, but however, the election system, first past the post system, is providing an opportunity for this divisive politics. Now, if you take the global examples, though there is a right-wing conservative parties, even simultaneously they are balanced by the liberal parties too. In this context, if you take Democrats, Hispanic situation in America, the Democrats protect the Hispanics, and Republicans, they never get a vote from the Hispanics, so they do not give attention to the interests of the Hispanics. Such a political party which can protect the interests of the minorities is missing in India, which was historically performed by the Congress party in India. But the inference is this. Whatever may be the politics based on religion in the long run are detrimental to the existence of a composite culture in the country. And also, in the long run, the politics based on hatred will ultimately lead to the elimination of the same very faction. It is historically proven. If you take the LTTE, so LTTE initially, to establish its supremacy, that faction has attacked the co-ethnic groups, other Tamil groups who are moderate in faction or who are moderate voices. So it means once the violence spreads, it will not stop with one group, but it spreads further and further. Next is military modernization. The Defense Acquisition Council has cleared more than 1 lakh crore acquisition decisions. So after the government has come up, the defense procurements have taken up a faster pace. Now, one important decision is during the France visit of Prime Minister Modi, a government agreement was made to acquire 36 Rafale aircrafts. This is one of the best decisions. And next is Subramanya Swamy. So with regard to this editorial, so what he talks about. So first is, for kickstarting of the economy, there are certain regressive markers. What are they? The banking sector. In the banking sector, he talks about raising NPAs and Basel III norms to increase up to the Basel III norms around 2,40,000 crores of capital is necessary. And next is to maintain the 51% of the stake of the government of India in the public sector banks, another 1,20,000 crores are necessary. And in this process, government has given in the last budget only around 11,200 crores. The increasing NPAs in the banking sector are also creating an environment of 96-97 that existed in Southeast Asian countries, which have led to the East Asian crisis further. And after this, the crop failures is the second thing he highlighted. So farmers lack now the necessary financial cushion or necessary insurance mechanisms to absorb the debt and liabilities arising out of the crop failures in India. And as most of the population dependent on this, there is an agricultural distress in the country. And next is decreasing flow of investments. He talks about FDI and FII investments have decreased in the country. So that is going to be an alarming sign for the existing government. And after that, the negative factors he talked about are, one is lack of skills, lack of quality to education, huge unemployment which is greater than 15%, the poor infrastructure which need the flow of investment to the tune of $150 billion, and poor expenditure on the education which is just around 2.8%, which he suggested need to be increased to the 6%. So in this context, what are the things we can do? The first thing is, the young population is the strength of India. We have to build on this demographic dividend. So skill development is one of the major focus which already government is doing. And we need to convert ourselves into a competitive market-oriented economy. So bottlenecks for the competitions have to be removed. In the agricultural sector, the yield is very low in India. Increasing the yield in the agriculture sector with systemic reforms can bring in prosperity onto the side of the rural India. And for all this, the central is improvement of governance systems in the country. Next is, Mr. Kerry suggests Iran style of solutions to the North Korea. With regard to North Korea nuclear programs, the talks are suspended in 2009, where North Korea walked out of the talks. So, the mediators are Russia, Japan, China, South Korea, US. These are the 5 countries which are involved with negotiations. And next is capital account convertibility. It is the freedom to convert one currency into other currency on the capital account on foreign assets. So, this is what is called capital account convertibility. So India already have a complete convertibility on the current account. Now the partial capital account convertibility shall be converted into full because there are few situations that favor for us. Low inflation as of in India now, decreasing current account deficit and decreasing fiscal deficit in the country. They provide for a right macroeconomic stable structure to introduce the capital account convertibility. And capital account convertibility is a one-way road. There is no escape from that. As the economy is integrating more and more with the global economy, yes, it becomes much essential. But however, the higher the inflation, more fluctuations in the foreign exchange rates, and also fundamentals of the economy are not strong, capital account convertibility can lead to the flight of the capital. So in this context, recently Mr. Padmanabhan, the Executive Director of RBI, has discussed the need for the capital account convertibility in India. And the FIIs flows in India has decreased. In 2007, the FIIs, foreign institutional investors, among them 50% are through PNote route. The PNote is something which an FII offers to a hedge fund or to an individual who invests in that particular institution. So in these circumstances, now 2009 onwards, 2011 onwards, I think, the government started talking about know your client documents. It means every FII has to disclose the individual who is investing with him. That is, the PNote holders and their names have to be disclosed to the SEBI. Now that is the reason why there is a fall in the investment through PNotes route. And added to that, the fears of levy of the minimum alternative tax, they have further decreased the flow of foreign indirect or institutional investments in the country, especially through the PNotes route. So these are the things we need to understand. So as I promised, by this weekend, I will submit to you a special notes on euthanasia topic. Thank you very much.